Yo, people, welcome back to the channel. Post-match carnage is to come. Fucked up. So this is pre-match carnage instead. Pre-match carnage is here. And it's not no ordinary pre-match carnage. It's the big one. Suddenly this game feels like it means something again. It's been a little while. City versus Liverpool. I'm excited. I'm hyped. And I'm very, very happy to say I'm joined by LB repping the blues of the city. City Blues. How you doing, my bro? First time on my channel, I think. I'm not
Yes,
100% sure. If it's first time, most
I think
welcome.
so.
And
But
hopefully it won't be the last. How you doing?
yeah, no, I'm all good, bro. Yeah, you are right, man. Liverpool took a little bit of an absence over the last 12 months, isn't it, from this high stakes football, and you guys have had a little siesta, but now you have woken up from your nap.
We
It was only a
may,
hiatus.
maybe we have. We're gonna get into it, but of course, as I said, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
no,
joining
bro.
me, Lewis. I know you're a very busy man, but we needed to speak, and I wanted to get a flavor from the city of Manchester live and direct, and of course, I've got. You know what? This is like two appearances in 2 weeks now, man. Like
Back to back. Come
Aaron's
on.
my brother again, man. Like what you saying, Aaron? What you saying?
Oh, good, bro. It's always love, bro. You know how it is. But yeah, it's the big one, is it's the elephant in the Premier League room right now. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, I think, for both teams this season. And I think there's some big questions for Liverpool. So tomorrow, we kind of hope to get some answers from both of those questions, really.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a brilliant setup for me because the way you frame that, so many questions, and we're gonna look for answers or give our opinions. No one has answers.
We
No
won't have
one.
the answers.
Yeah,
They've got to
no.
give us the answers. Them lot have
Yeah,
got to give
yeah.
us the
So when
answers.
people ask questions and look for answers on social media platforms, you're idiots. You're idiots. Everyone's giving their opinions. Don't ever take it to heart. People, you already know the drill. We're trying to get the algorithms of this channel back up. So you already know what to do as you enter, like the stream, subscribe if you haven't. So close to 35k. I know I've lost about 300 followers because I didn't do F4 on my channel. So close to 35k, but we're gonna build it back up again. So like, subscribe, all of that good things. Hello from Rosario, Argentina. Wow, amazing. Rowan, what time is it? Let me know where you're tuning in from, guys. Let me know. Blessings, everyone. Absolutely blessings, everyone. um Lewis, I'm gonna come to you, man. we get I think this fixture's disrespected, Lewis. I think this fixture is disrespected by the neutrals. And the reason why I say that is they just look at literal numbers, and they say Man City 5 and 6, is it? And Liverpool have only won it once. And of course, we've won the Champions League now in between as well. We've won cups as well in between. But this fixture, in my opinion, is disrespected by neutrals because I genuinely think, in terms of quality of football and the quality of football that between us, we've had 2 or 3 stinkers in that 6 7 years, but between us, I think we've produced some of the highest standard of football, and the points tallies suggest it's factual as well that the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah. No, you're right, bro. First of all, big up the chat, man. Hit the likes and it, get the algo up. But yeah, no, listen, I think you're right. I think whenever you hear the sort of neutral, or not even neutral, because some people do respect it, but whenever you hear the argument against this fixture, it largely comes down to the fact that the two teams don't kick the shit out of each other, which is kind of like, eh? Do you know what I mean? Because this rivalry, because there is a rivalry there, but it's a sporting rivalry. You know what I mean? Like, there's not historically been any sort of major um sort of beef between City fans and Liverpool fans, other than your standard, Scouse versus Manx sort of thing. But it's very sort of very sort of it just brewed like that. It went
Mm.
along like nothing really happened. Because at the end of the day, why would it, right? You guys was in the top four. You was one of the big four clubs. And City were just doing City stuff. There was no reason for a rivalry. But what has developed really over the last 6 or 7 years, I'd probably say 6 years, is you've probably seen two of the best Premier League sides. Premier League, I'm not going back before that, before my time, ever, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I mean, let's be real. If City were not around in the last 6 or 7 years, this Liverpool team, people be talking about the best Liverpool team of all time. People might still say that now. People be talking about the best Premier League side of all time, and the same with Manchester City. So I think it does get disrespected, and I don't really understand why. You know, I mean, these are two of the best teams I've ever seen in this country. Two of the best managers, and potentially the best manager in Pep Guardiola. Two of the best managers this country's ever seen. So yeah, I don't really get
Do you
it.
know
And
what?
You know
Do you know
why?
what?
Do you know why? Do you know why it is though? Because City was built to go on a collision course with Man United. That's what it was all about from the get-go. And I hate to bring them into the room, but they sit in the middle of both of our teams. Man, you are our biggest rival in English football. So they've always been it. But since their drop-off, obviously we'll always have that tasty rivalry with Man U, whereas City wasn't the rivalry. But how your club's been built up to kind of, it was always to catch up to your neighbours. So if you catch up to your neighbours and your neighbours are still at the top of the tree, you've got to be pretty close to the top of the tree. Inadvertently, Man U have become so shit that it's us now that have become the backstop for this, not really, as you say, rivalry, but where they're in place of them. And because of the geography,
I think
that's a good enough reason to have that sportsman vibe. And that's why I feel like we fall into that sportsman kind of rivalry out of respect for each other, rather than the bitter hatred rivalry that Liverpool and Man U may have had in the 70s and 80s.
Look, I think you're spot on, both of you. And I think it is a rivalry, guys. I think we don't. I don't think we need to be shy or scared to say it.
It should
Like
be
I
the
don't give.
players will think it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
their
yeah.
biggest rival.
You ask the coaches again and again and again. They're asked about each other, and they say, "Yeah, he drives me on. He makes me better. He's made me better." LFC Aaron reminds me, and this is fact, guys. Between 2018 and 20, Liverpool accumulated the most points in those 2 seasons, in consecutive seasons. Like no one, the great Man United sides. Now I know you only look at trophies, and I get it. I get it. Of course, hard cold facts are that we haven't won as much as we should have in that period. But we're not up against a normal team here. I've said it so many times. This Man City team will go down as the greatest Premier League team that's ever been created, in my opinion, once it's all done and dusted. Because we're not feeling the effects of it right now because they're still playing. But once Pep's gone or retired or whatever, they're going to have won 8 probably league titles in 10 years, possibly, something like that. I'm not sure of Man United's record, if it was that dominant. Someone obviously going to remind me or tell me otherwise. But and the fact that, guys, I know ifs and buts and close or whatever, but we literally had 1 point battles that went down to the last kick of the game twice. Was it twice? Yeah, 2 seasons or 3 seasons. 1 point. 1 point in it. And, it's like if we added another couple of league titles, this would have been an awesome, awesome rivalry. I get it. It's not like the Man United Arsenal, which is a classic historical rivalry, heritage, kicking the shit at each other, throwing pizza at each other. You know what I mean? Looking at each other in the tunnel with dirty looks. Our ones are pure. You play football your way. We play our football our way. And it's a battle of footballing styles. It's a massive battling football styles. Errol, you was going to say something?
No, I think you'll probably in 5 to 10 years' time still talk about it in the same sort of way. When great rivalries on and off the pitch have different ingredients. So you've just perfectly mentioned the Man U and the Arsenal rivalry from, the early noughties. That was because there was those stare downs in the tunnel. That was because they was kicking lumps out of each other on the pitch. Our rivalry is a different iteration of that, being at the peak. When two teams are at the pinnacle and the peak of their powers going toe to toe for a sustained period, that intensity is still the same, even if it doesn't manifest on the pitch in the same way. So when people actually look and talk about it in 5, 10 years' time, it will be held in the same light as the Arsenal and Man U rivalries because of what was at stake. LB said it. Liverpool are the siesta. The thing from our perspective is that's allowed City to really nail down extra trophies because we've always in this period been their closest. So they've had now that elongated success themselves. But it's not to say that we're not going to wake back up now and find our own form. That's again comes back to the unanswered questions that we've got, and that's why this season right now is shaping up quite tasty because there could be a third spanner in the works that neither of us have had to navigate. and that's going to make for a more.
Man City navigated them last season, but
No,
we're going to get into that.
They've only had done 2. They never had to do 3. None of us have had to do 3 teams and keep an eye on 2 other teams over your left shoulder and your right shoulder. It's always been 1. And when Man City have only had to deal with the 1, more often than not, they dispatch it and get the job done. So it's going to make for a tasty season, boys.
Good to see all the regulars back in the chat. Guys, thank you very much for staying faithful and loyal. I'm back. I'm not feeling too good, but the anticipation will get me through, no doubt. Obi, I'm going to come to you and ask you about your beloved Man City. I was just speaking to you before we went live, and I think very slowly and cleverly and smartly, we're not going to get into all the things that we don't know about in terms of all the off-field stuff, right? We're not going to talk about that today. You'll be glad to know.
I'm
right?
glad.
Because, so we're going to talk about the footballing side, because tomorrow there's enough to talk about from the footballing aspect in your club. I think, Lewis, quietly and cleverly and smartly, everyone's talking about Liverpool 2.0 and the rebuild under Klopp. I think you've done a bit of a rebuild as well, and it's gone unnoticed, or has it gone noticed? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think we probably are doing a little bit of a rebuild, which is weird because I think we were doing a rebuild last year as well. But I think the loss of İlkay Gundogan, the club doesn't mess up on a lot of stuff when it comes to transfers, right? We're very well run in that regard, but we really, really, really dropped a ball with İlkay Gundogan. He wanted a 2 to 3 year contract. We were too late in negotiating. And when we started negotiating the contract, we only offered him a 1 year contract extension. There was a lot of City fans in denial that this wasn't the case, but İlkay Gundogan has since come out, since he joined Barcelona, and confirmed that this was the case. And basically, if we would have done what we should have done, which was offer him a 2 to 3 year contract in January last year, he'd still be at the football club. And if that would have happened, then I think we would have probably more points than we have now, which is crazy considering we've only dropped points in 3 games. But yeah, I think we are on a little bit of a rebuild. But to be honest with you, boys, and I don't know if I've ever told Errol this on the shows that we've done, but we're ahead of where I wanted us to be right now.
Really?
And yes. And let me explain, because you might get this because you've actually won the title, right? But I was saying at the start of the season, I don't need Manchester City to be top of the table in October or November, right? And this is where I think the Arsenal went wrong last year, because they were top of the table for so long. I don't need us to be top of the table in October. All I said was at the start of the season, after the Burnley game, when Kevin De Bruyne got injured, I said, just be within 6 to 7 points maximum, really. You don't want to be more than 7 points, ideally. Within the top. By the time Kevin De Bruyne gets back, which was estimated to be end of December, sometimes in January, he comes back in, you're 6 to 7 points behind whoever's at the top, and then you go, you start the engines in January. So I now look at the situation and say, okay, I'm now in the end of November, we're top of the league, we've won the most matches. The only blip that we've had is when Rodri wasn't available. And I don't even think we've got out of second gear. Now, of course, Arsenal and Liverpool probably could say the same thing. But from that point of view, I'm just looking at this thinking, we're ahead of where we expected to be. We're in the best possible position of the table. We're at the top of the table. I didn't expect us to be there, because normally City are slow starters. And we've not even had Kevin De Bruyne, for any of the games this season. John Stones has played 4 matches. He's super important to us. He's injured again. And for the games that we did drop points in, most of them, Rodri was not available. So I've got to say, from a City point of view, to summarise, I would say we're ahead of where I wanted us to be. We're playing better than I thought we would, because typically City are slow starters. And I'm just ready for Kevin De Bruyne to come back in December, start the engines, and then really see what this City team is made of. I don't think we've seen anything near City's best sort of play just yet. And I don't think you will until we get John Stones and Kevin De Bruyne. So yeah, to summarize, I'm very happy, bro. I'm very, very happy with how the season's gone, man.
And to be fair, it is because I do a lot of shows with LB at the minute. I know he's been in that train of thought pretty much from the off, as he says. The interesting thing is, my caveat to all of that has always been, as long as Liverpool are within 4 to 6 points of City come the new year,
well, I was going to say,
into that stretch yourself, can Liverpool then put their foot on it as well? So when LB's saying that with his expectations and I answer with mine, I think to myself, I automatically expect there to be more games this season which are going to cause upsets, which then almost makes this fixture extra important because you want to get the win in it.
But Errol, as usual, you're my mind reader because you always know what I'm going to ask you. This is what I was going to say because I agree with LB, right? So the fact that Man City are 1 point ahead in November is almost unheard of for them. Like they're usually chilling at right now, you know, fourth, couple of defeats, looking dodgy. Everyone asking the same questions. Oh, is the City? And then they come good as soon as it hits Christmas period. But the difference this time round is like you've already half said, and I want you to elaborate on it. The difference this time is we're way ahead of our schedule, what we thought at the start of the season. Everyone, pretty much, bar the real football fans that knew if we rejig the midfield, we'll come good again. Everyone else was like, oh, Arsenal going to be their challengers for the up and coming. United will come back. They've spent another 300 million. Chelsea have spent 1 billion. We already knew Liverpool was, if we could rejig that midfield, bring back energy, legs, vitality, we will be back challenging Man City. So is it fair to say we're ahead of schedule as well in our rebuild?
Absolutely, we are ahead of schedule, but it's the same thing happened when we fell off the season after winning the league. Obviously, we had loads of injuries. Liverpool players, fans, the team, everyone around the club knew there was extenuating circumstances as to why we was in the predicament that we was in. And if we could keep Van Dijk fit and we could get players back, get defenders, get Konate over the line, the defence sorted, next year we could go and challenge City again. What did we do? We pushed them to the very end. Everyone was saying it was going to be Man U. Man U finished second that season. Everyone said Man U were going to go for a title challenge. It'll be Man U and City. The following people, Carragher, Neville had us in fifth. The following season, what did we do? We went to the last day of every single competition. All right, yeah, we only come away with 2 cups, but Liverpool again pushed on further than where we anticipated. Even the most, red tinted glasses Liverpool fan, top red, whatever you want to call them, didn't see us going to the last day in every single competition when we did at the time that we did. So
that's still underplayed, by the way. That's still underplayed. People again. That's another thing. That's another thing. People just think, you won 2 trophies. Do you guys know it took a man of the match performance from one of the greatest all-time goalkeepers to stop us from winning against Real Madrid, who had, I think, won it 3 times in a row, and it took Man City to do one of the most amazing comebacks in 20 minutes against Aston Villa, Gundogan, and who else was it? Rodri. It took 2 of the most
as well. That was Rodri's actual spark to his trajectory. If you trace it back, let me tell you that, because for him, you might say he was an important player for your last season, LB. The season before, he started to come good, and in the clutch moment when he stepped up there,
I'm gonna come on Rodri. I'm gonna come. Pause.
To your point,
I'm gonna come to Rodri.
Yeah, okay, cool. But to your point, I genuinely think whether we have come full circle again or not, where we considered ourselves to be at this point in the season is well ahead. I don't think anyone would have said that this midfield was going to click and gel to the standard that it has. They seem like they have been sat in the wings, watching how we play, been in training matches with Fabinho, Henderson, James Milner, just learning. And they've went one way, and now they've come into the fold. Different skill sets, but the energy and the standard has been restored to a large degree. What I want to see is the challenge now. I still think the lads that we bought were obviously bought because there was always going to be of a certain level. So if it did come good and you bring them around you, the teams that we've played so far, albeit against Spurs, again, I think circumstances kind of skew that one in terms of how you look at it. But all the other teams we should have been beaten anyway so far this season. We haven't had that test. We're not in the Champions League, so you don't really know. Your Europa League in the group stages isn't really a good metric for how heavy a weight you are across the continent, where I think the Premier League is that standard bearer, and we haven't really booked. Chelsea was too early in the season to get a good read of it. Spurs, you can say, is skewed it. Newcastle are on the up, but we'd still fancy ourselves against the Newcastle Liverpool on the day. They haven't burst that bubble yet for us anyway, because we've got a decent record against them. City's the next one on the list, and it's now is where you're going to get tested. I think it's a perfect time to play them.
I don't know about perfect time to play them. I just genuinely think if there's any questions on how your season's going and your position and the level of opposition, and if you've been lucky, unlucky, injuries, whatever, when you're going away to Man City, it's the hardest game in world football. People can talk about Madrid, people can talk about Anfield even maybe as well. Man City, Etihad away is the hardest game in world football. Not only from a footballing point of view, mentally, physically, test you out in every shape, way, or form. One of the greatest coaches of all time. And I'm not doing this, I'm blowing hot hair up their ass, because people know I mean this, I believe this. People know how I speak about Pep Guardiola and what I speak about. As I said, we're not going to touch upon the off-field issues in this particular segment. But Lewis, I want to ask you, he's been there, what, 7 years now? Pep Guardiola?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Was he, this season, with the signing of obviously Haaland last season, Mahrez going, Gundogan going, Gabriel Jesus going, bring in the likes of Grealish. Now you brought in Kovacic, Nunes, and Doku. Has there been a change of style in your opinion? We're going to get onto the formations and what you think he's going to do tomorrow. But overall, do you think he's adapted? Is that one of the secrets of his success, why he's been so good? He hasn't just stayed the same way like he played, let's say, 4 seasons ago. He's continually tweaked little things. You know, you was the first one to start the inverted fullback. Now you're effing playing inverted centre backs in John Stones. So he's a pure innovative master, isn't he?
Yeah. And I think this is why he's at the top of the game, because you know, teams. This sounds basic, yeah, but it's true. Teams work out how to play against sides, even the best sides. Because at the end of the day, even though City are like the best team, if you play the same way every single game, at some point, someone's going to crack the code, right? And then everyone's going to start doing it. And listen, you're not going to win every time, but you're going to struggle. The way to mitigate that is by innovating the tactics, innovating the systems, the formations, the players. And that's what he's done. You know what I mean? That is 100% what he's done. And I always say it's kind of like pointless predicting Pep Guardiola team lineup, because you never know what the guy's going to do, man. Like, he just does random stuff, and this is the thing that I think people don't get. And if they don't get it, they should get it, because it's not rocket science. People say, "Oh, Pep Guardiola makes mistakes." He makes mistakes because he makes big calls, but that's what you pay big managers to do. You don't get a manager in to be a yes man. Yeah, yes, he made some big mistakes in the past. Yes, Lyon away. Chelsea Champions League final, but think of all the stuff that he's done that's got right. And you know, this is what you want your manager to do. You don't want managers to do the same thing week in, week out. Do you know what I mean? He makes big calls. I mean, I remember the Spurs versus Liverpool Champions League final, and Kane was never fit for that game. Never fit. He shouldn't have started, in my opinion. Yet Poch started him, because that was, for me at the time, too much of a sort of yes man. You got to have a manager who's willing to take the heat, but goes with what he believes. And if what he believes is a mad system and players doing, then that's what you got to go with. And if it doesn't work, guess what? They'll end up getting fired. But this is 100% the reason that he's done so well, is because of the innovation. And to be honest, this year we've not really seen too much difference from what we've seen last year, other than when John Stones hasn't played.
Yeah.
When John Stones hasn't played, and this is going to be interesting to see what we see tomorrow. We see Kyle Walker go back to more of his Spursy days of going down the wing. Whereas obviously last year, you guys will remember John Stones will invert and he will be like a third centre back, which is actually really good at, because he's so fast and strong. He's really, really good at that situation. And he's not actually great in this old Spurs position, because he's not great at crossing the ball. So I'm hopeful tomorrow he doesn't, bomb forward and get the crosses in. But yeah, we've not really seen too much changes. Kovacic has come in, 25 million. I think it was a great signing. The differences with that is I didn't expect him to start as many games as he has. I thought he was going to be like a rotational player, come in here, drop out there, but he's probably played a little bit more than expected. But still, for 25 million quid in this market, it's great. And the Nunes one, I don't really get why we signed Nunes, to be honest with you. I've said it at the time. Don't really know where he's going to play, when he's going to play, how we're going to utilize him in the system. That doesn't mean I don't think he's a good player. I think he's an all right player. I think he's pretty decent. I remember the opening day of the season, Wolves versus Man United. You'll remember it. He was fantastic at Old Trafford. But he clearly not going to play him as a 6, because Rodri was out and we had the perfect opportunity to play him as a 6. Guy never played. So still a little bit of a question mark over him in the system and how that's going to work. But yeah, I mean, we're slamming it. And obviously we've got Gvardiol and Doku and 2 great young players, fantastic players. So yeah, everything's going well, man, to be honest with you. And for us, it's just about getting Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones fit back into the squad, and then we'll see. But yeah, things are going well, man.
Errol, he's LB spoken about sort of the rejig in midfield, obviously with key players going. They had to replace them, whatever, over the last couple of seasons. We done it all in one window. So it was a bit of a mad summer for us. And as you said earlier, no one expected us to be where we are already and gel. The last season when we went to the Etihad, it was the lowest I've felt as a Liverpool fan in terms of shitting myself. Like, it was the first time where I was like, I hope they don't embarrass us before the game. That's how bad it was. In the end, it did turn out embarrassing. It was 4-1. I think I've got the lineups here. I'll show you in a minute. But this time round, Errol, what makes you confident, if you are confident, first and foremost, because I haven't asked you, that it should be different this time round?
I'm actually not confident that like it's gonna. I think it will be different. I'm confident that it will be different. Obviously, I don't predict another.
Surely you're confident that it's not going to be another 4-1
Oh, well,
drubbing.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm confident,
And
in
it
that.
should have been more. I mean, they
Yeah.
retired. They declared at 70th minute.
That's enough. Yeah, they felt that was enough. I think from the way that I'm deep in it is like I'm not confident we're going to get drummed 4-1, but then at the same time, I am confident that not necessarily the outcome, but the actual game is going to go a completely different way. We are going to see a much more competitive game. Does that mean that City don't win 3-1, but we have two really clear-cut chances that if if Núñez misses a sitter and something else happens that was a bit of an injustice, you think, that was a missed opportunity? Or do we have a really tough, close game where it could end up being a draw? I don't know. I just know that right now, I don't think we would want to play City at another time. This is the perfect time as you're kind of gearing up to go into that Christmas stretch and really say, right, well, these are the games, so we need to put that run of form together to kind of consider whether it's even worth looking at a title challenge. Because there's only been a couple of times where we've really been in that position of luxury to say, right, once you come out the other side of Christmas, we can really go for it. And I think that's where we're about to build up to. And I think we're building up there probably the best time to come against the City side, where they're not the complete team yet. LB's already conceded that. He knows that they're a few pieces away from where he expects them to really start going for it. But we've always been that close. When they're just a margin off it, even if it's 10%, are we 15% off it? And is that too much of a gap? Or are we just the same 10%? I was like, you're really trying to measure it. And you've got to be scientific to an extent. But the only way to do it is when we actually test them on the pitch, because everything that's bubbling up around Anfield and Liverpool suggests that we are on an upward trajectory. Everything that City are doing, it's kind of like if it was a graph, they're just steady on their incline that they normally do, season in, season out. But our trajectory dropped off, and now you're picking yourself back up. And it's that cross point where it's like, is it gonna give us fireworks? And that's what I'm hoping. I think tomorrow is going to be the game again where something will pop off that will be magic. Something will pop off where you think, actually, wow, this season, regardless of what you think, who's going to be favourite to win the league, you're thinking, actually, no, there's two serious teams here that on the day can beat everybody, which means that they can actually put that run again together, and we're in for another good season, because we didn't get that indicator. Arsenal were the one for us last season. They was, as LB said, at the top from so long, it was like at some point it's going to click for City. LB will tell you, I never once had Arsenal winning the league last year. I've been there. I had seen that story been written so many times in this club period. So I knew straight away at some point City will click and it'll come off for them. Now you've got us in the mix. It's like, right, are we going to be that guy? Is it going to hit that firework point or not? And that's why I'm excited. I wouldn't want to play them. I wouldn't have wanted to play them when we played Chelsea. I wouldn't have wanted to play them when we played Spurs. Any time after 10 games to really go at City once you've already got something to play for, it's the perfect time to play them.
People often talk about LB like sort of, they say, we are slicking each other, bigging each other up, hyping each other up, blah, blah, blah, blah. And like Huey, we done the Big Six show yesterday, and Huey was very respectful, and so was I, and the lads were laughing. But the reason why, right, no one else knows until you've fought someone. So I'm going to give an analogy of a boxer, like two boxers slugging out. Until me and you have fought in a boxing match, I know how hard you punch, LB. I've felt your punch. The people are talking haven't felt your punches. And vice versa, I've got a stiff jab that can hurt you as well. Like I've broken a rib or two of yours as well. And this is what it's like, isn't it? Pep Guardiola and Jürgen Klopp know about each other and they know the teams that they have at their disposal. Last season, if we look at the lineups, guys, look, none of that midfield was going to start tomorrow. And that's huge for us, right? We're going to come on to the Liverpool side first. The front three, probably, actually, we're going to try and get onto it. Like, that's probably one of the most... Gakpo had just joined. Jota was out of touch. Salah. And that midfield was dead. But you know it will be from past experiences. And we've seen the documentary where Pep's thinking about the front three. We've come to Etihad. We've played where we've got the weapons. Probably the only team that Pep probably sweats over in terms of, I know that what they can do to us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And listen, obviously, I've been speaking today on Núñez, who, for me, I've seen a couple Liverpool, not a couple, quite a few Liverpool fans who think that Núñez shouldn't play. And I don't know either of your takes, but I'm just going to tell you from my point of view, yeah, he is the most scary player I think City can face tomorrow when dealing with the counter-attacking system that Liverpool are going to play. Now, just so everyone's clear, that doesn't mean he's better than Salah, as some people think. That's not what I said. When you're addressing the counter-attack system of Liverpool, which is probably how I think we're going to see City will probably have more of the ball in the Liverpool half, and Liverpool will try and hit us on the break. Who is the one player that can exploit that space behind the defence? Newsflash, ain't Salah. It is Núñez. He's so quick. He's so quick.
Salah plays differently now. Salah plays completely different. Salah almost plays like Mahrez now. No, Salah almost plays like how Mahrez used to play for Man City. Like Salah can still run in behind, but he very rarely does that. Now and again he'll do that, but now he's like a playmaker supreme as well. Not only that, I think he's a couple of goals only behind Haaland as well in the goal scoring states. So we'll come on to Salah, but it's interesting you say that about Núñez, LB. Just off the record, not off the record, but just get your opinion. What is the worst three that you'd not like to face tomorrow? Like, what's the three that you wouldn't like to face tomorrow out of the 5 strikers that we've got? And then give me the 3 that you'd like to face.
I think for me, the worst that we could face is Salah, Núñez, and it might surprise you, but I think Jota.
I was going to say Jota. I knew it.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising. Yeah. I hear you. Go on.
Yeah, the reason is I think that Kyle Walker, right, against the stiffer winger, right, the Mbappes, the Rashfords, and I think you can throw Diaz into that. He usually comes off very, very well. Where if he does have a weakness, it's a more tricky player. And you've seen that last time against Chelsea with Sterling. Sterling ran him ragged, yeah. And Jota gets more goals than Diaz. I'm looking at Jota's stats. He's a goal scorer. So for me, I think that 3 would probably be the worst. And I think it probably gives you more flexibility in terms of how he sets up the front 3, because maybe you could drop Jota in and have a sort of a 2 up top if you wanted to go like that. I think it gives you a little bit more flexibility with Jota in the side. So that would be the worst for me. The best, obviously, would be Diaz, Gakpo, and then whoever else. But yeah, the front 3 of Salah, Núñez, and Jota, I think would be the one that I'm like, damn. But to be honest, like whoever else plays on that left, Diaz is still a good player. I just think Jota has got more chance.
No, I know what you mean.
Of getting success from Walker.
My theory, and I've done about, God knows, about 15 preview shows all across the board this week, and I've been saying Diaz is brilliant. Diaz is wonderful. He's in good form. He's gone through. Obviously, he's gone through crazy turmoil with his father and incidents and everything else, but blessed to be everything back to normal again, and thankfully everything's back to normal. But he's up against Kyle Walker. Now, you can say what you want about Diaz, and he's tricky, he's fast. Very rarely is anyone going to beat Kyle Walker in a one-on-one. Where you can irritate Kyle Walker, where you can catch him occasionally, is lack of concentration and positional play. But if you're putting up a winger up against him, you're wasting that whole side, because you're not going to get past Kyle Walker by just running at him or overlapping. He can cover both things with pace. That's why a Jota who relies on clever, sharp, incisive movement when the fullback's not looking. You know, he's got that eye instinct. That's where you can, and he's got a good record against Man City as well. I think Jota must be on that pitch tomorrow, LB. I agree with you. We're going to try to get onto the predictions in a minute. Guys, close to 300 of you. Big up on a Friday night. I know I'm not doing content anymore, but big up. Thank you very much for your support. It's a perfect time to make sure you go and support our channel sponsors, yourfutcard.com. Go and check them out. Not only have they got a 15% off if you type in Red Fellas, forget that. Scrap that for 3-4 days. Scrap that. They have got a Black Friday special where it's 30% off all your banners, all your FT cards, all your moments cards that they've got. Do you remember these guys? These ones I told you about. Magnificent. I'm sure there's an Aguero one that LB wants to check out. So there's an Aguero on the website as well. LB, you make sure you go check that out as well. The Aguero moments up there as well. Fantastic quality, 30% off. You cannot go wrong. Help them, they help us. And then that motivates me to do more content, which of course you guys all want. Looking at those lineups, Errol, from our point of view, 1, 2, 3, 4. I anticipate 5 changes from that lineup from last season. Talk to me. Let's start picking the Liverpool lineup while LB thinks about his lineup. Let's start thinking our lineup and what you expect and anticipate. So I'm assuming, okay, let me help you out. Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, Virgil van Dijk. No Robertson. That's the first dilemma in your head. What are you doing? Talk to me.
I said it yesterday with Saeed, man. Tsimikas is in for a long, well, it's going to be a long lunch if he's up against Doku. I don't know. And if it's not Doku, it's Alvarez potentially for City. I think Tsimikas has looked a little bit shaky. He's had the last game was pretty good for us, but this is a big step up in caliber of obviously opposition. That's going to be, you know, flying down at him for 90 minutes. But then equally, Joe Gomez hasn't played enough minutes down the left-hand side in his Liverpool career to really say it's worth giving it a go. The only other thing is Joe Gomez had an exceptional game against City at Anfield last year. It was probably his best game of the season. And again, is it one of them where it was just a one-off because he had an awful season for us last year? It's hard to tell. So it's like you want him because you know he can perform against the players at City, but is there really in a position that affords him to play tomorrow with Konate's fit? Probably not. You've kind of got to go with Tsimikas and hope that he has a good game. The reason I don't think it's been highlighted as much is because I think Virgil van Dijk on that left-hand side has been not bailing him out, but he's been unbelievable again in recent weeks. So we haven't really seen that much flaws from the side down the left hand. So I'd say we have to go Tsimikas, but he has to have a really good game if it's not going to be a weak point for us, if I'm honest.
I keep changing my mind about the left back situation. It all depends. Again, let's try to do it at the same time. LB, in your opinion, then, obviously last season Riyad Mahrez was playing on that right wing. And Grealish was playing on the left wing. And by the way, Grealish was man of the match last season. He ran the show from start to finish. But he's been in and out of the team this time round. Who's going to go up against directly on the right wing for you guys, and in your opinion? Is it going to be switching over off Doku to the right, or is he going to go with Foden or Alvarez? What do you think?
It'll be either Foden or Doku. I think it's going to be Phil Foden. I think it's going to be Phil Foden. And if it was me, I'd start Phil Foden out on the right-hand side personally. So, another player who's a tricky player. For us, Foden gets great goals and you know, and assists on that right-hand side. He's actually done quite well against Liverpool. I didn't know this, I was checking before. His record against Liverpool, his first 3 or 4 games, he scored and assisted in every single one. Bar one where he just got on 1 assist and no goal. Like he started really, really well against Liverpool, and then recently he's not been in the team as much against Liverpool, and he sort of dropped off. But yeah, I think it'll be Foden. So I'm looking at thinking Foden up against Tsimikas or Gomez. You'd like to think that's a 1-up for City there. You'd like to think that is a point that City can sort of get at Liverpool, whether or not it's Tsimikas or Gomez. So yeah, I think Foden, bro.
Okay, so we're assuming it's Foden. I'm not sure what he's going to do, actually. I wouldn't like to play. Foden always has a mad game against us as well. All right, let's move on. Errol Van Dijk obviously is going to be there. A man in form is going to be needed to be in form. Who's going to partner him? Matip has been surprisingly good
Yeah,
after
you
so
love
many
to
wrote him
see it.
off,
I love
including
to see
me.
it.
Humble myself again. I'm sorry, football's a humbler. Konate or Matip, because now Konate is fully fit as well.
I think it's Canate. Yeah, I'm quite happy for Canate to slot back in there, especially if we're gonna obviously have Trent doing the new role and obviously inverting inside. I think Canate's physicality out there to go up against someone like Grealish potentially when he's raiding down their left hand side. I think that's probably an advantage for us to have him. I think the one thing with Matip, even though he's been playing he's back to playing some really good football at the minute for us. Matip at his best works when he's one step ahead of his opponent and outthinking them. And if he times everything to perfection, he's all day Matip. Again, a little bit like Kyle Walker in the way that you spoke on him before. If anything lapses and he's just a little bit off the pace, he hasn't got the recovery pace to really make up for that. And with City, they've got such a lethal team themselves. It only takes that moment lapse of concentration to be one-on-one with Alisson and getting a clear-cut chance. So I think for me personally, Konate has been bought to be the guy that can play these big games going forward with Virgil van Dijk. While he's fit, we've got to use him.
Okay, so you think Konate? I think I would personally play Konate, but I think he's going to play Matip. And the reason why I think that is because Liverpool talk about the press that Liverpool do. Man City are probably equally as one of the most destructive pressing sides around. And what you have to be is comfortable on the ball. You cannot be shit on the ball against Man City because they will press you, get the ball off and bang. And I think he may go with the footballing ability of Matip and the ability to stay calm under huge pressure that they're going to put us. But I personally would go for Konate because LB switching over to you. Obviously, rumors of Haaland, bullshit rumors, let's add, about not being fit. Of course, he's fit. Okay, Haaland's going to play through the middle up front.
Yep.
How is he going to set up behind him? Is it going to be Alvarez floating in the... So if you think Foden's going to be playing wide right, and I'm assuming you think Doku or Grealish on the left? This is what I was going to ask you.
I think Grealish, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's going to go Grealish. This is a big game, man. And, you've also got the added thing of having Salah. And for me, you're looking at Grealish as one of the best off-the-ball wingers in world football in terms of the work rate. And I actually said, I forgot about this until I did a stream this morning. I think we actually seen that against Liverpool last year at the Etihad. Remember when Salah was like going through and then he ran all the way back and put in a mad challenge? Like, that's for me, I go for Grealish. However, the fan base is very split on that. I did a poll in the chat on my YouTube video this morning, and it was literally like 50-50. Like half the City fans want Doku, half of them want Grealish. I don't know what it's going to... It depends. Listen, it depends on how you want to approach the game. People are looking at Trent going, he's obviously not the best defensive fullback in the world, right? He's obviously... People are telling me that he's done all right this year, but still, he's no Kyle Walker, Reece James. So if you want to go at him, you want to be brave, you play Doku. But for me, I just don't look at football like that as much. I'm trying to look at the whole holistic view of the game and the holistic team. So me, I would personally go with Jack Grealish out on that left-hand side, hold up the ball. And in behind Haaland, again, another sort of tricky one. But for me, I'm going to stick with Alvarez. I think he deserves to play. Now, he did kind of ghost in the first half against Chelsea. Didn't really do too much better in the second half, although he did clearly improve. But it's one of them with him. I'm playing him there, yeah, but there's a couple of things. One, I know there's a chance that he might ghost in the game because he ghosted against Chelsea. And two, I don't know whether he's got the quality to put the ball in behind for Haaland if he gets there. We all know that playing in there, he can score goals, right? We all know that because the stats prove that. But if Liverpool are defending really well tomorrow, yeah, their defense is on point, they're working well, and City are not creating loads of chances because Liverpool are defensive well and they're in a good defensive setup, is he going to have the qualities to put that killer pass through? And if not, we'll be looking at it going, should have played Foden in there, should have played Bernardo Silva in there. So next to him, I play Bernardo Silva. So it's the same midfield as Chelsea, but for me, it's completely different in the way we set up. Against Chelsea, it was Rodri, Bernardo, Alvarez. Yeah, not tomorrow. It's for me tomorrow. I want to see Rodri, Bernardo, and Alvarez on his own, which is why I'm raising the point of does he have the qualities to do it? I want Bernardo to sit next to Rodri tomorrow, double pivot sort of situation, really protect that back line, and allow the freedom to Alvarez. So basically, for me, yeah, I'm sort of putting a lot of pressure on Julian Alvarez tomorrow. I'm saying you're the man who's got the free role in midfield. You're the guy who's got to create for Haaland. You've got to try and get yourself into the penalty area as well. I'm putting a lot of pressure on him, which some are saying is stupid because he's only just come back from South America. But at the end of the day, this is the team that I think he's going to go with, and that's how I would set up. So
LB,
yeah,
I've got your last lineup against Chelsea, and obviously it was a madness, right? It's the most that you've looked vulnerable in defense in God knows how long. And that was the lineup. Do you anticipate any changes in the back line? I'm guessing Ake over Guardiola is the only change, probably.
Again, that's another controversial decision that City fans are not in agreement with. Again, it depends how you approach it. If you're looking at, okay, left back one-on-one Salah, then obviously, yeah, you're going to go Ake, right? But can you look at it like that? Some people. So I'm sticking with Guardiola, bro. I'm sticking with Guardiola, and I'm saying I can't just look at a 1v1 and go, I've got to play Ake. Now he might do that, but the way I see it is, right, you can play Ake, and Ake can still get smoked off Salah, yeah. So then all you've done is basically in that situation is just lost a load of sort of ball playing ability, ball carrying ability, and sort of attacking threat because Ake ain't got that. We all know that, yeah. So I stick with Guardiola. I play the exact same back four. I think against Chelsea,
the only change that you'd make is Doku for Grealish,
correct.
Yeah,
and a clear tactical change in the midfield where Bernardo Silva sits next to Rodri rather than
100% Rodri on his own, like he was, literally he was on against Chelsea.
He was ridiculous, really.
Coming to us, Errol, right? Hold on, let me get back our lineup last season. Where's it gone, man? Yeah, this is the one. So basically, coming back to our one, what am I doing, man?
Midfield time, innit?
Oh, that's not the one, guys. What am I doing here? Give me 2 secs, man. You know me and techno. Yeah, it's the midfield. One sec. We basically got decisions to make as well, right? We have to think what we're gonna do in terms of our midfield, because none of those three will start, right? I know Harvey Elliott's been having a wonderful cameos here and there, but he's not going to start. So you think it's going to be Konate, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, Arnold. McAllister's definitely going to start, right? I'm assuming you're thinking. Szoboszlai's definitely going to start. I think you're assuming, unless you're mad as Pep on a Champions League night. And who's going to be the third one? Because this is where it starts getting tricky. Curtis Jones versus Gravina, as Pep called him in the press conference today. Fuck knows what he was saying, but he called him Gravina.
It's a tough one for me because
it's a tough one for everyone. That's just. I think this lineups are as intriguing because look how LB was conflicted in his choices as well, and same for us. We don't know how either manager's going to go.
Yeah, I think as well with it, you splitting hairs really because I think when Curtis has played this season, I thought he's looked all right. Maybe a couple of quiet games. Gravenberch has had good moments where he's shown that he's, he looks like he's going to be a bit of a player, but trying to get that out of him game in, game out right now, that's probably the next trick up our sleeve, really. That's the next thing we've really got to accomplish for him. I think he can shine bright in some moments, and then in other moments, it's like a little bit like, all right, is he really there? What's he really doing? He's not really pulling the strings, which again, it's very difficult because I don't necessarily think we need 2-8s that can pull the strings. We didn't have that ever when Genie was there. That third man on that left-hand side was the interlink between keeping the left hand fluid as much as it was. Very workmanlike, kept the balance in the team, kept that balance for us as a side, and was allowed to be very effective without having to do all the breaking the line runs, necessarily passing through the line sometimes, and then making those last man runs into the box to kind of score goals the way that Gini did, steps up and against obviously Barcelona a couple of times. So we're accustomed to that left-hand side being a little bit more muted in the role. I think for us at the minute, it's the fragility that those two players present, because with Gini, there was so much stability in the way that his ball retention was there as well. It was so good. Even when Fabinho didn't have the best game, it was enough in most circumstances. Where McAllister, when he's not on it, there is a real deficiency down that left-hand side still. So that's for me where I'm splitting hairs over who can come in and have a 10 out of 10 performance. That's the question again.
Errol, can I ask you a question, bro?
Yeah, go on, bro.
Do you think that, like, obviously your midfield is important, but like, to me, your midfield screams out to me that your midfield has to be on a 10 out of 10 performance tomorrow to get a result. I'm just looking at the way.
100%. Because I think McAllister's going to have to, because of the challenges that he faces in that role. He's going to have to be switched on at all times. He's going to have to time things to perfection. His reading of the game is going to have to be exceptional. Then, you can't have a lapse. We've already played City enough to know that no matter who we have in midfield, they all have to pretty much play 10 out of 10s. I think it's the lads, because Curtis has been suspended, so it's not like he's been cold, but the level of teams he's been playing in Europa League hasn't really lit it up there. Gravenberch has come in, had a couple of decent games in the Prem, but even the teams he's played in the Prem haven't really been up there. So we're asking them to take a step up, and then
I'm gonna step in, fellas. I think both of you are. I think both of you are underestimating this midfield of Liverpool's, and I'm very surprised at that. Yeah, 100%. I don't think you guys have watched our midfield much. Errol, I'm surprised at you. Our midfield, and the reason for my confidence of not getting beat, not winning, but not getting beat, and I said it, is because of the revitalized energy in our legs. That midfield that went there last season, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, and Elliott, I knew gonna get smoked from the first minute. I knew Rodri will beat up all three of those at the same time. Szoboszlai is a different animal.
Oh, he is.
McAllister, no, he's not just one. It's a collective, the way we're playing as a collective in there. Curtis Jones has come on leaps and bounds, and I think he's a vital cog. You mentioned Gini quite a few times. I think this is the reincarnation Gini Wijnaldum.
I hope so.
He has one of the best ball retention stats in the league. You go and check out his pressing stats. We are where we are, not because of any other position, but because we're 1 point behind a magnificent Man City team after 12 games that we've had, and a lot of hard games. And the reason for that is the new revitalized energy in midfield. Not only just energy, guys, but ball retention skills are a whole different level. Jordan Henderson, Fabinho were not great retainers of the ball. It was like a hot potato last season. Add to that, they couldn't run. It was a recipe for disaster. Tomorrow, I agree with LB where he says they have to have a mad game. Of course they do. But in my opinion, I think you're underestimating or understating the increase in vitality, energy, and a newfound passion to run, ability to run.
I think that is there though, Grizz, and that's obviously a massive advantage for us. But it's still not airtight. It's not going to be. I'm not saying that I expect it to be airtight at this point in the season. I know that it's not. But then when you're playing City, they have the potential and capability to expose that.
For sure.
So that's why I'm saying that for me is where I am you splitting hairs. Do you go for the retention of Curtis Jones because you want to be a little bit more preserved? Or do you want to because for me, Gravenberch is the more attacking option out of the way that they
what we saw from Chelsea last week, LB, what hurt you guys the most? From me, it was the sight of Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling dropping in those eights. You're saying, Errol, we don't need attacking eights, dropping in those 8 positions behind the spaces and running at them. And I thought Man City, for the first time in years, didn't know how to handle that. And Gravenberch and Szoboszlai have the ability to do that tomorrow.
So this is what I'm saying, though. This is what I said. Splitting hairs. What approach do you want to go for? Do you want to go for exactly what you just said in Gravenberch, or do you want to retain the ball with Curtis Jones? There's 2 players there that have played that role and operate it so to a good standard, both of them, but they operate it differently. Are we going to go out there on the front
100%.
foot and attack City, or are we going to say, no, that area of the pitch, when we get the ball, we keep the ball, we move the ball, and then we build an attack down that right-hand side?
I think we start with Curtis Jones and see if we can contain Man City, because Man City, even though they didn't lose to Chelsea, LB, you're definitely going to be smarting because you didn't lose, and everyone forgets that. Like, at the end of the day, it was a draw. Like, that's Chelsea beating both of us. They beat us 1-1, wasn't it? And they beat you 4-4. Right?
Yeah.
So that's 2 victories for Chelsea, right? Everyone's celebrating their victories. But at the end of the day, it was draws. I think it's going to be Curtis Jones. But somewhere where it's going to be a proper battle royale is up front. So you think it's going to be a Kanji, Diaz, and Gvardio, you think, LB, yeah? And not Ake.
Yeah, I think he'll stick with Guardiola on that left-hand side. I just don't think you can look at that, Grizz, because, like I say, yeah, you can put Ake in, right? And if he pockets Salah, which he's more than capable of doing because he's a fantastic left back, he'll be like, yes, great decision. But if he doesn't, he has to pocket Salah if you play Ake, because if he doesn't, you're just sitting there at the end of the game going, well, that didn't work out. If you would have played Guardiola, he probably still wouldn't have pocketed Salah, but at least we would have had something going forward. So I just don't think.
I think he'll go for Ake as well. I think he'll go for Ake. I think he'll go for Ake. I think he's going to revert to what he knows, who he knows. As long as Ake's fit, I don't know the levels of fitness. You'll know more. Yeah. But if Ake's fit, I think he's going to go Ake. I think he's going to go Kyle Walker, Akanji, Diaz. I think Akanji's going to play that role of John Stones. Or I think you're right. Actually, your initial assessment, I think Bernardo Silva is going to sit far more with Rodri, as opposed to Bernardo Silva having a free license to go everywhere and anywhere. But what do we do up front? This is the big one, Errol. I have no idea apart from Salah. Salah is a nailed-on starter. Someone told me that's in 9 consecutive games he's got goals or assists against Man City. That is insane. Like, we're talking about Man City here, the best team in the world for the last how many years, and Salah's got a goal and assist in his last 9 appearances against them. He's mad. But look, enough about Salah. We're not going to talk about Salah and Haaland. Who's the other two going to be, Errol? Who's the other two going to be? Considering I think it's going to be Jones, McAllister, and Szoboszlai in midfield, who's the 3 that you think is going to be? Is Errol frozen?
Yeah, he's gone for me. Yeah,
Errol's frozen. I thought Errol just give me dirty looks because I told him. Like, do you know what I mean? I thought Errol just give me dirty looks about sort of.
That's a mad freeze frame.
That's a mad freeze. You know what? I'm going to screenshot it. He's angry. Look, like you said, LB, it's me and you. We're going to finish off with. I think it's going to be Jota. I think he's going to start with Jota. I think he's going to keep Núñez and Diaz behind for the last, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes. See if the game's still there to be won, because your pitch is massive and there's going to be a lot of space. You're not going to change the way you play. You're going to play on the halfway line, trying to press the ball. Rodri's going to go hunting. Foden, Silva, even Alvarez, great pressers of the ball. But I think it's intriguing because if we break your initial press, because that's the key to your hurting Man City, like Chelsea did. Because Chelsea were brave. You got to give it to them. Chelsea were brave to keep playing football. Playing football. They were getting caught because you scored 4 goals at the end of the day. But they were looking to play that quick 1-2 and break the press and run directly at you. It's the best game I've seen Sterling have. Cole Palmer's a talent. I think we've got similar personnel that can hurt you. You think you'd hate to face Jota and Núñez tomorrow, yeah? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Alongside Salah.
Yeah, listen, I understand what Liverpool fans said about Núñez, not starting because they want to bring him off. But again, you can't look at football like that, man.
It's because of his injury situation. Like, he's been playing a lot of minutes. He's got a few muscle strains here and there.
I hear that, but you've got.
I agree with you.
You've got to throw him in for me. And listen, if you want to, because part of the argument is, but if we keep him on the bench, you can bring him on after 60 minutes. You can do that with Luis Diaz. It might be too late. You can't do that, but you can do that with Luis Diaz. He's got the pace to get him behind if you want to put him on. So, yeah, man, you got to go with. And at the end of the day, that is your. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're going off goals and assists, that is your most prolific front 3 off of goals and assists this season: Jota, Núñez, and Salah. So, why not go with that?
But again, it's like, well, you know what you was talking about, holistic approach and the chemistry and the way they operate and the way they work together. You know, Luis Diaz has been really showing Sadio Mane-esque type movements, scoring those goals that Sadio Mane used to score. talking about battles of the past, Sadio Mane and Carl Walker used to be something to behold as well. People forget about these rivalries, man. But Errol, we thought you were just giving me dirty looks, but you was
Nah,
frozen.
bro. Sorry.
Very nice, cool. Very quickly, Errol, what do you think the front three is going to be?
What you've already said. Obviously, I could still hear you for a little bit, but yeah, I still think it'll be Salah, Nunes through the middle. I'm hoping to see Salah, Nunes through the middle, and Jota. I think
You play Jota on the left because my Jota in the team is maybe different from how you think Jota then. Because you know why I think Jota should be played? Like we played him against Brentford. Jota played inverted left. Nunes was having a free roll, go right, go left, make runs, and then the third midfielder playing almost like a
left winger, almost.
Curtis Jones. You know what I mean? I was thinking that.
And I could go with that, to be honest with you. I think that's probably how it. Obviously, the lineup will have Jota out on the left, but I think that's probably how he will try and get some joy out of this City side. He will be a little bit more elusive in his movements. He doesn't really give us a lot of width, but there are times where he'll make the right run when it's time to give us width and do a little cutback. He's done that with a couple of assists so far this season, and I think he is the one for me that there was a question mark around who could be, on that left-hand side for us and really add that what Mane used to add for us. And I still think, again, the terrible circumstances that have happened within Diaz's life now are another barrier to us really seeing the best version of Luis Diaz at any given moment. So while Jota's in a hot vein of form, you've got to just get the most out of these players. I said it with Khanage before about his fitness. When he's fit, you've got to play him. I think Jota at the minute, he's mustard. He's the slaughter for a reason. You've got to give him his run of games.
Guys, super chat before we go. Of course, Wolves F1's in the building. He says, go bold or go home. So I'm going 3-1 Liverpool, despite its Etihad, and Klopp has never won Pep there in the EPL game. He has, hasn't he? He won the first season there.
Nah, apparently that was Pellegrini.
Yeah, it was Pellegrini
as well. Yeah, it was Pellegrini, wasn't it? I thought that as well last night.
Great catch. But guys, either way, man, tomorrow it feels big again. It feels good again. It feels tight and tense, and like it feels like we're back challenging Man City again. LB, I hope you've enjoyed your debut on my channel, and I hope it's not the last time you come on. Would like to thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, man. I've enjoyed the chat. Big up to everyone in the chat. Hopefully you enjoyed the show as well, man. And yeah, listen, I say this, I'm glad Liverpool are back, man, because it's in a weird way, the mental anguish of the games and the torment of what happens afterwards. Like
it's mad. No one knows how we feel about these games in the past. You can't explain it, guys. No, honestly, you can't explain it.
And like, with no disrespect to Arsenal, although I didn't have that last year, because with Liverpool, like all through last season, and Errol said it before, everyone thought at some point Arsenal was going to drop off.
Yeah.
You don't do that with Liverpool.
100%.
I remember the game that you was on about. I remember when we went to Newcastle and we got beat off Newcastle, and you was like 10 points clear or whatever. And I was on the coach home from that game, and I said to my mate, and we said to each other, we need to win every single game now to the end of the season. And here's the madness. You guys knew that was possible. And that's why, from both sides, I was sitting there saying the only way we're going to win the league is if we win every single game. And you guys knew that is actually possible. Like, it's just a madness. That's why. Yeah, that's why.
We went to Spurs. I was at Spurs at home last season, the quad season, where we drew 1-1. And I knew we've blown it.
That could be it. Done.
No, I knew it, Errol. I knew we've blown it. Like, a draw was a loss for either team. Like, we couldn't afford to draw games. That's the levels we reached. But listen, guys, people in the chat, thank you so much for your support, man. As I said, I'm going to try and start doing more and more regular shows. Over 320 of you guys in there. Smash the like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. Of course, make sure you go and check out LB's YouTube channel, which is called LB. I'm so sorry. I forgot to put it in the description. I will add it in the link. Bro. I will add it because you are going to be coming on more and more. Shout out your channel, my bro.
Yeah, it's LB. We're actually going to go live now on there, doing another little preview. Errol's coming on. Tom Little's on the show as well. So, yeah, if you want some more, just come and join us, man. We're going to go live after
Excellent.
this.
Of course, Errol, you know what I mean? Go catch him on Redmen TV. Watch-alongs. The watch-alongs aren't the same when Errol's not on there, man. You know what I mean? Man brings the passion, the energy. You know what I mean? The facial expressions and all of that. You know what I mean? But big up Errol every time, of course, as always.
So thank you for having us on again, and we'll catch up again soon. No doubt.
100%. Guys, tomorrow, I hope we've set up, which is what was already going to be an enthralling, exciting encounter. I hope we've given you a bit more feel about it and you're excited. It's a shame it's 12:30 kickoff because it's like too early. I'm still going to be like rubbing my eyes and stuff, man. Like it's way too early, but it is what it is. And yeah, man, we'll be back tomorrow. I might do a call-in show tomorrow night. How's that for a treat? And look, either way, nothing's going to be decided tomorrow. We all know that. Whether City win, Liverpool win, or it's a draw. But I think it'll be a good indication the way the game's going to go. Depending on where the way it's going to go, where we are at. People, where we are at now is the end of the show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, yourfutcard.com. Don't forget, Black Friday sale, 30% off until Tuesday. 30%. That's literally 20% away from half price. Makes sense. It makes sense. Go check them out. They help us. You help us. Everyone's a winner, baby. Hope Liverpool's a winner tomorrow. Peace.